Welcome to the Wizards of Amazon podcast, where we cover all things private label. My name is Carlos Alvarez, and I'll be your host for the show. In today's episode, I have someone who's becoming a fast friend of mine, member of the Wizards of Amazon group, Lokesh Parashar, founder, owner, and director of ADK India. What's up, Lokesh?
Good. How are you, Carlos?
I'm doing good. I'm actually very excited for this. I get excited for all of the guests that do come on the show, but I was extra excited for this one. I mean, you've become a pillar in the Wizards of Amazon community. We host our events now a lot on Zoom, and I have to feel blessed because of that. Otherwise, I'm not sure you would have participated in the meetups living in India.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a blessing in disguise, and I really thank the COVID and coronavirus episodes to bring me closure to the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of those events, I don't know your background, but it's like it looks like it's like 4 o'clock in the morning or something there, and you're there at the event. You don't miss any of them.
Exactly.
Lokesh,
So, yeah.
This is your first time on the show. I know you're a listener of the show, so you probably understand the question that's coming next. But I feel that you'll be a regular guest on the show, especially as the topic pertains to your area of expertise, which I'm going to call it A to Z private label from India. That's fair? All right.
Exactly.
So your company, ADK India, exactly like we're describing, A to Z, from the idea all the way to it being on the shelf in a store or being sold virtually online. Your agency helps people with every aspect of that. And in this show, I want to go over some of that, and maybe you can share some, without giving away too many, clients' details, just, different ways that people can interact with you and your company. But before we do that, I really want to, for me personally, because the meetup, I don't get to do this, but for me personally, and for anyone listening, tell me something about Lokesh. Like, tell me, where were you born? What was it like growing up? How did you get into the profession you're in now? What did you do before? All of that.
So I'm a people person primarily because I have been a sports background. I've been a footballer, a soccer captain till college. And once I finished my engineering, within a year, I could think of that engineering and civil construction is not my ball, not something which excites me. So I ventured into international market way back in 1994. I did my certification in export management to understand the business and opened my first company in 1996. I have been a vertical supplier to export companies. Then I started my own export company. And by 2002, when I first came to North America, like Canada was my first landing, I realized that I'm more of services because of my analysis, and so production was not for me, but rather than I could foresee ahead, and that kind of analysis built upon, and with the people perspective, a trust building, a good listener, I could easily get my customers to rely on me. And that is how in 2003, I started my sourcing company, wherein I stayed away from like big time manufacturing myself. I said, okay, let's help the community where I have seen the gaps as a vertical supplier, exporter, and traveling. North America has been my specialty ever since. I opened my own office in US in 2013 for the same reason. So that's how the journey has always been. It's been 26 years in international market. So I've seen both the world.
How many years?
It's been 26 years now. 1994 onwards.
You're aging yourself. So soccer star, engineer, like this is, and now you said 26 years?
26 years. And how I relate to the e-commerce is because my first customer was a catalog company in US in 1994. And that is how I could relate to product development, how these seasons and festivals, it was a garden company. And a lot of these trainings came on the floor, I would say. The on the floor experience has taught me a lot.
Lokesh, but very popular in the Amazon space is sourcing from China. A person only needs to source from China. They don't need to source anywhere else. What do you think about that?
Yes, China has their own strength, I would say. We cannot replace China for sure. If somebody is coming to me, for example, there's a recent customer from a network I got hold, and most of my references, my buyers come from reference. Other Amazon sellers or e-commerce sellers will be recommending me. So she has been buying from China. It's very straightforward kimono, 60-gram GSM, uh, acrylic knitting. So I asked her, I will be needing a sample because if I'm talking about a $3 kimono and which you want me to be a landed $5, it has to be something in it. And as soon as we got hold of the sample, within the 2 days, we said that's not possible in India. So if you're looking to upgrade your product, then we can think of, and it's just not like few cents. It will be like more like $2 more. And minimum, this is the weightage you can get in India. So when we talk about sourcing from India, we need to also talk about limitations. Of course, advantage to the seller is that they can add a variety. And from my experience, I can tell you, you have a lot better margins when you're buying and selling an Indian product because you already are so competitive in Chinese market. With the culture in Chinese factories and with numbers, volumes, the sweet spot customer I've seen is beginners who are really starting and creative people who love creation. They do not want to buy from a factory or a very huge mass volume buyer who can come to India and we can develop something for them. Anything in between is somewhere I would say always be a competition with China on the prices. It's easily available in a lot of other factories in China. So we play on our strength, and there are certain times we always say no to the customers as well. That this is something which is not possible in India.
Absolutely. By the way, I enjoy sourcing from China. I have some, from India, excuse me. I have some products I source from India. I have some good friends that own factories in India. It's amazing. I don't just source products from China. I just wanted to get under your skin a little bit with that comment and get you to loosen up there. But I agree. I've noticed that there's certain products that are just a better fit in India versus China. Do you feel the same way? And what might those
Yes.
products be?
Most of the mixed material product, I would say, labor intensive product, if you have, wherein uh, design is a key element, but of course if there is an element of more work on in terms of labor intensive operations, of course India has a lot better strength than any other country actually in terms of better educated factories and very helpful sourcing community here. That is where I would say play with the strength. And if you have a very plain, simple mass merchandise, which could be easily scalable by molds, and you can always go to n number of Chinese factories and get it done. But as soon as you want to do some value addition over the product, and that is how my own clients have been able to successfully build their business from India, especially textiles. I would say I have been instrumental with an offline retailer, wholesaler. She built her business from first year $3.5 million of buying only textiles. Then next year 5.5 million. The idea was they have 50 plus designers in their office in New Jersey. They only create designs which are specific and they have a lot of work involved. They can never produce that in China. There's a lot of handwork, a lot of embroidery thing, replacing embroidery with little bit of hand embroidery. So all those operations created a space where India was very, very competitive.
Well, so did I understand you right there that labor costs are more affordable in India than China?
Labor costs are affordable in India for sure, but I would say the quality of labor work on your product
is higher. Yes.
Is higher.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not even close. Definitely the quality of the labor in India is a great deal more. Lokesh, can we get into a few examples? So taking it specifically to Amazon, and as you said, perhaps newer sellers that are getting started or those really high volume sellers would be, the best fit or the most ready to maximize the opportunities of India. Let's go with the beginner seller. What's that going to look like? So I'm imagining they're using the same tool, if that's how they source products, and that seems to be the most popular way is they're using a tool. They're finding a product opportunity normally they immediately jump over to 1688 or Alibaba, one of those two, and then they start this process of communicating with people. So let's not use China, and let's say we've gotten to that point where we've selected a product based on the the keyword and product opportunity, and instead we want to go to India. What would be the way? What would that look like for somebody if they were to contact you, or if they were not and they wanted to just they wanted to try to do it on their own first? How would that look?
So, very good question, Carlos. If you're coming to India, we do not have any such website like Alibaba or 688. We do have certain, if you Google some websites, they can pull up some uh, names, but primarily the factories or manufacturers listed on those websites are not exporters. It's more or less India market. They have huge India business, and somehow they went onto those websites to just promote them digitally. So as a beginner seller, let's talk about the culture which you start your business. Most of the e-commerce sellers or Amazon or whatever, they start from home. They already have some job. They want to sell it and create a new business for them. So they do not have the blood which a traditional wholesaler or importer has. They do have skill sets, and that is how podcasts like your, a community like yours, is very very helpful to them. That's why you see so many people coming to your podcast or listening to your podcast, because it's a self-learning community, and you learn on the way. There is no course which they have done, and negotiations, international sourcing. So all these starts to build up, and there is a point when we decide, shall I use a sourcing agent or can I do it myself? So I would always say yes, if you can do it yourself, most welcome. Because if you can understand the private label with your self-help community and with the help of other Amazon sellers, if you have a good factory as a reference, in India, first of all, do not go to a factory without a reference. You might be able to look at virtually, on a platform. They can promise n number of things, but tell them to give their references. Maybe not the name of the customers, but at least the retailers where the products are sold. They should be able to tell you this product is sold on Pier 1, or this product is sold on Crate and Barrel, or any other retailer, or maybe TJX, and that is made by us.
Hold on,
Maybe through some other.
let's clarify that a little bit. So you're saying that if somebody wants to go attempt to do this on their own, and that is take their product idea and source it from India, that if they were to find a factory, which would consist of Google searches, apparently, right? Because there's no like One Hub or Alibaba like website in India.
Exactly.
If they wanted to do that and they found a factory, they should not exchange any monies with the factory until the factory has provided references.
Of course, not even references. Sorry to interrupt you, Carlos. Not only this is the first step, a reference, maybe of the customer they're already serving. If they are an Amazon seller community exporters, they would understand an Amazon seller can easily give a reference to from other company. If not, they can also refer. We have to see the product. Where is the product right now selling? Any website which they can tell you, okay, this is a website my customer is buying and they're selling on this website. Let's have a look at it. Second step is your NNN agreement. Before you engage yourself commercially, please understand factories can always go and do at Amazon.com themselves in a couple of years. So your NNN agreement is a very, very most important document for you, because in a couple of years, your business will start to make profits and your partnership with factory is starting to grow. And then suddenly there is this huge problem with you of divorce. Oh, this factory is now selling directly on Amazon.com or Australia or Japan. And how can I create my product with this factory? So the longer vision also has to be taken before you deep dive into the relationship.
And what was that form you were talking about? Similar to like a non-compete?
Triple N agreement: non-compete, non-disclosure, non-circumvention.
Okay, and at this point though, you're suggesting to do this if, and hopefully the sellers, the potential sellers doing this, but this is if they want to work something, they want to work with the factory and create something unique or pull a mold and do something different. So you're saying we should get the Triple N agreement to protect that. What if they contacted the factory and the factory already has a showroom of products and they happen to have the exact product that the buyer wants, do you still suggest going into the triple N agreement?
Of course, because the non-circumvention will always be there. What if they themselves will set up a shop? With Amazon India aggressively pulling all these exporters to set up their own shops and directly sell to the overseas markets, in a couple of years, you might see them competing with you on the same product.
Okay. And how, I know with China, it's something that happens a lot. Even
Yeah,
when you get these forms in place that you've worked with a factory, in your ignorance, you didn't get a triple N agreement and you start selling, and now the Chinese factory is selling it direct on Amazon, or even more likely is they are now selling it to competitors because you got
yeah,
this product, you started doing good, and now they started featuring it on their site, really out of a sense of pride. Like, look, we make this for this amazing seller that's on
exactly.
Amazon. But your competitors see that on their factory website, and they're just like, wow, I found it. I found the source, so to speak.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they contact them, and the factory, without fail, just yes, absolutely, I'll sell that to you too. Um, how is that with Indian factories? Have you noticed that it's just,
So
that's
that's how
business?
I'm. Yeah. So coming to the questions, part two of the first question, you always should try directly, but all these things in place. Why you need a sourcing agent is because these things you might be able to pull it off of many times, but still there is a chance of factory not adhering to their norms or their signatures, or they might be also showing product to, and that is how a sourcing agent becomes a very important tool for you. If somebody down there is in the factory at the showrooms or trade fairs where they are showcasing product, or even they're developing for some other companies, because when the inspection happens, there's a regular visit to the factory, your product could be also displayed in their showroom. And if there is an agreement signed up, we just ask them, quickly remove this product from here, because you can't even show the product to other customers. Just maybe for inspiration, no. You can show them on your computer when I'm not there. It's like an official thing. But yes, if I can look at a product which has been developed by the customer and you're showcasing in your showroom or trade fair, you cannot do that. So sourcing agent is not only a service provider to you, but he's also acting as a protector of your business in that factory.
Okay, so let's go back to, so at this point, because I interjected and I think I took the conversation off. So this person, the first example we're going with is somebody with an idea, sourcing a product from India, and they're attempting to do it themselves. You're suggesting once they find a factory online that they get references, that they get a triple N agreement in place. What at that point, they're probably going to exchange some samples, um, and then they can place the order. Are there any good inspection companies that you would suggest that they use at that point to validate things, assuming that they're trying to do it all on their own?
Yeah, I would say inspections should be dealt with independently by inspection company or sourcing agents. Also, like us, we give you a separate a la carte services, not only whole service. You can also take just the inspection services. You do all your everything on your own. You just engage a sourcing company for only inspections.
And
And coming to your second question, when you asked me that how Indian factories are doing in terms of other countries, I would say once you have a triple N agreement signed up and you build a relationship, you have tend to have less of the risk involved. Of course, I can't guarantee the individual factories, but more Indian factories are faithful in the term that if they're looking at good business from you and you are able to showcase them that there is a huge business they might be losing if they go out of the agreement, and that is how you make them in check. So we are better placed than other economies in that sense.
okay, final thing with the person that's trying to do it on their own. Once they find a factory, because in my origin story, large amount of money I sent to a factory, they stole everything from me. What can somebody do to avoid that as a new seller that is just connecting with a factory? And how about this? The inspection services that you offer, do they cover, like, hey, I need you to check to see if this place exists, and are they a
Exactly.
real business? Is that included?
Yes, the
Oh,
factory
that's
audit
awesome.
and the KYC, like know your customer, know your factory, definitely. It's always there.
Okay, so now let's go back, because that already sounds like like a huge headache to me attempting to do it by myself. So I find a product idea. I'm deciding that I want to execute on it to sell it on Amazon. And instead I contact you, Lokesh, at 80K India. What does that process look like?
So once you come back to us, we will be having a couple of meetings on understanding your business. And first thing is also we will sign the agreement with you. In again, it's an NNN agreement where we also make sure that we are not circumventing you, we are not competing with you, and we are not disclosing what you are sharing with us. And we will make sure that any factory which will be involved in your business will also sign this agreement. So there are two agreements, one between us and the buyer, wherein we also make sure that we are giving you details of our service fee, uh, depending upon what kind of business you're going to give us. You can also look for an a la carte, as I said, if you would only like to have sourcing done and you would like us to tell you the factories, we can give you three or maximum three, but at least one or two factories who will be reliable, and you can go ahead and do it yourself. But the rest of the other part, we only manage the validation of the factory, the price points, their strength, their weakness. Or if you want to hire us, then we will go for a full service agreement. And then everything is on our part. We'll be able to guide you on whether we need samples from you or we need drawings from you, or the factory already have a CAD team in build with them. Depending upon your requirement, the entire work is assigned to a merchant, and we become your eyes and ears in India for any kind of operations.
Awesome. And is this done on a website? Is there a form someone would contact?
Well, I can share my email address. We usually email is always better, but I'm always available on now. WeChat is now already banned in India, so I can't say that. But WhatsApp or Telegram. And,
Oh, WeChat is banned in India?
oh yes, just 2
Oh,
days back.
you know, they just as a total side note, I was just reading India banned TikTok.
59, yeah, 59 apps.
Wow.
Well, that's something to do with the politics and all those tactics.
Yeah, no,
So,
yeah, I totally get it. We'll have to discuss that in the next meetup. But
yeah.
okay, yeah, I'd say towards the end, you're willing to share your email so people can contact
Yeah,
you.
my email is simple. LP, my first two initials of the first name and last name, Lokesh Parashar, at adkindia.me. ME means I'm yours, mother elephant.
Yeah.
So
I'll
LP
definitely
at
put the
ADK
email in the
India.
show notes, and if anyone wants to get a hold of it quicker, they can reach out to me at Wizards of Amazon.
Also, you can Google me. Sorry to interrupt you, Carlos. You can put my name on the Google. I'll be always there on YouTube with a couple of videos. I always post on sourcing or international challenges in sourcing. LinkedIn is very powerful, so you can always find me on LinkedIn. I have a story of sourcing on my LinkedIn, so you can always read those stories. There are 10 stories. You will be able to better understand India in that perspective. How do we have to go forward?
And you're working on a book. I won't go into any more
Yes,
detail. I won't go any more detail,
yes,
but I'm privy to know that you're actually working on a book that's going to be amazing. So yeah, you can
exactly.
send me those details and I'll make sure that they're in the show notes of this episode. But so somebody contacts you with their product idea. We do the NNN. So it's safe to share with you what we're looking for. And then what's the difference between me Googling to look for factories and me contracting with you for you to find those factories?
So we work for you, and we are not asking you to pay us upfront. Initial consulting is always as your team. So we'll be able to actually validate your idea itself, whether it makes sense for you to invest more time and energy in factories, whether you want to go with the bus or you want to go ahead with other people. But the first initial, it's like giving a direction. If you're given a wrong direction, you go back into a forest. It will take a lot of time to come back, and
Sure.
time is key for a seller.
So but what's the main difference that because once I explain my idea to you and you let me know, yes, this would be a good fit in India, how do you find the correct factories for us to start vetting to make this product?
So in my 26 years, and especially in my sourcing business of 2003, it's been 17 years, I have worked close to 400 plus factories. Currently, I'm working with 100 plus factories for different customers. We attend virtual showrooms. We meet a lot of exporters. Personally, I do a daily webinar. We are having a lot of, and my team is very efficient in knowing the strength of the area. First of all, India is a huge country, so there are different region and different products. It is just not like one city in China, you can get all the product from there. Textile, I would say, is primarily spread across all over India. So depending on your product and your niche, the kind of product you're going to source or develop, those resources are already available with us in terms of region, then the kind of factory. The matchmaking part is very, very important. You may be a small seller, factory may be big, but does it actually it will be a good match? Maybe not. And that is all which is the knowledge we have, wherein your time is saved and you're given the right direction to actually do the actionable part from your side, rather than just searching and doing hit and trial method factories.
Awesome. And once you've connected us with the factory, it's not like you disappear. But how about this? If we want to take it from there and handle it directly ourselves,
Exactly.
that's an option.
Yes. The communication is open. Most of our experience with the American or North American buyers is that they do not want to get involved into a communication, but we do not say no to them as well, as you are most welcome, because as long as we can add value, there is room for us. And that's how I never encourage a wall between a factory and the seller, especially in the product development part. It takes a lot of effort for ideas and inspirations to be given away to the factory. So I don't want to become a Chinese whisper wall that you tell me and then I tell them. It's always better if you would like to speak to the factory. Let's go to an online meeting and we can always discuss all these things.
What's the best communication platform you found for that?
I think online meeting, Zoom is the best for me.
Zoom.
I've tried Google Meet. I've tried sometimes WhatsApp is also.
We're all addicted to Zoom now.
Yeah, I have been hosting a lot of webinars for sourcing in India at Factory Connect and all those programs. I've tried WebEx. I've tried GoToWebinar, but I think the most interactive is Zoom so far.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's awesome. So because I personally, a pet peeve of mine is a sourcing agent that will find the factory for me, but then say, I'm not going to connect you guys. So it doesn't allow me to build a relationship. It doesn't allow me to communicate if I want to. But what I have found, I think, is what you were alluding to, is I would rather the expert in the room handle that. So,
yeah.
But when the option's removed from me without any input from me, that doesn't settle well. Like, that's a kill card for me when working with a sourcing agent. So I'm glad to hear how you do it. I guess the final piece of this, because I mean, assume you're communicating with the factory. That means you're really seeing the project all the way through, making sure it's not running into any bottlenecks. But if it does, informing the buyer. What about the logistics side of it? Like, once the product is finished, does ADK India help with the getting it from the factory to FBA in the United States or whoever's country it's going to?
Yeah, so that actually discussed initially in the engagement, whether you would like to have a FOB price or would you like to have a DDP price, or is it directly shipped to Amazon? So all these pricings are given to you with no foundation. You can go back and compare with your forwarders and your team if you have, and come back. See, the idea is to create a business which is having good amount of business margins for you, good amount of margins for factory, and a survey fee for us. If we are able to give you a competitive price, and for example, in courier services, if you're using your import account to have something imported into US from India, it's 2.5 to 3 times. But what I do is we give you a service, we use our courier service, we'll give you a price. Before even shipping a sample, we'll tell you, okay, this will cost you $80 or $100. Go back and check with call up your UPS, we'll give you a zip code of the factory and you already have your zip code. You can always Google or like UPS website, or you can call them and ask them how much it is going to cost me. And if you can compare, maybe if you're saving a substantial amount, go ahead and just book it and we will deliver to your UPS. Otherwise, you can always use our services and we'll just charge you for that cost. So as long as we can create a value commercially as well as with our services, that is how I see myself to be valuable to my customers.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I can tell you for sure, next time I launch a new project in India, I'll definitely be contacting you directly. What I'm sure that I'm missing questions here, but how about this? What do you see is the biggest mistake new Amazon sellers make when sourcing or trying to work with India to source products?
Yeah, now you're coming to the favorite part of my engagement. When you are hiring a sourcing agent, please sign up exclusively with them. See, we are here to help you. I will give you an example. Since a lot of the Amazon factories who are shipping to Amazon, they are all part of many groups now. There are so many Facebook groups of n number of coaches, and everybody wants to be in the room. So if you are coming to a sourcing agent, and especially me, I sign up an exclusive agreement that anything or everything you want to do with me, I will keep it all transparent, but you cannot go and do it yourself on the other side. Otherwise, what will happen is we just had this case 2 weeks back. There was a specific design from customer. We knew the factory that there are specific 3 or 4 factories who can do it very good and efficiently. One of them came back on the email to my team. Oh, this buyer has already given me this drawing 2 weeks back, and I'm working on it. Now this is a clash. How do I justify myself, and how do I? It's a very awkward situation. And I told my customer that since you were coming for a reference, I did not get signed up. I said, okay, let us look at your product, let us give you a pricing. But if you are trying to do it yourself, then you should go ahead and try to do it yourself. Don't take the two paths together, because that will create a confusion. India is not like China, where there are hundreds of factories, and I might have a different set of factories, and you might be going to a different set of factories, especially as an Amazon community seller. So then she shared her story. Yes, I am part of a Facebook group, and there are so many factories already there. So I was using them as well. I said, then go ahead and use them. So this is one thing I would say as a beginner seller, have trust. You can do all your homework in creating a trustful relationship. Just like a marriage, you think so much, or you live in when you think so much about the other partner. That is the sense you have to have here. When you have decided, okay, this is my guy, let him do the job. If there is something going wrong, you can always go back and get out of the relationship. But do not do it like having two relationships at one time.
Awesome. What else? Any other golden nuggets you would add to save new sellers some headaches when trying to work with
Yes.
India besides hiring you?
Yes, you should have a set of questions. I have a set of questions which I always answer to the customers. I can always share that when people are reaching out to me through your podcast. The set of questions you should ask as a seller to the factory and to the agent. Whether
what are those questions?
Or there are, I think, 25 questions.
Okay.
I have. So that will give you a fair idea of the kind of factory you're working with, or the kind of sourcing you're working with, because they are asking about very in-depth knowledge. By that, it's like a questionnaire or as an interview. If you don't get the right answers, then please don't go into the direction.
That makes sense. Lokesh, I wanna be respectful of your time. I can't believe it's already been over 30 minutes, but what's the best way again for people to reach you?
Email is the best.
Email is the best. And what was the email again?
lp@adkindia.me.
lp@adkindia.me. All right, that works. Lokesh, before I let you go, the question I like to ask everybody on the show is, what was your favorite book and why?
The one book I've always have in my mind, and which actually transformed my personal life, is the autobiography of Mr. Mahatma Gandhi. My experience with truth. I have evolved myself in the last 10 years after I have read that book into so much of personal peace and transformation in business. I've grown very well. I have been very happy with people because I could see how we should be actually living as a community, and what you should expect from others and what others should expect from you.
You know, I've not read that autobiography, but I've read a lot about Mahatma Gandhi, and that makes a lot of sense. And you know what? I'm going to get that book, because it seems like right now the world could use that book more than ever.
Yes, he is more than relevant than any other time. now.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna
It's
get it.
all about helping. Yeah.
I'm, you know, I don't know if you're already part of the Entrepreneurs Book Club, but I just feel like I could learn so much about a person just by what's that number one book that they've read and why. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to add that to my reading list and definitely read it soon. I really
you.
appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to the next time you're coming on, as you're going to be the expert on all things India.
Thank you so much, Carlos.
All right. I look forward to speaking with everybody next week on the show. I will include Lokesh's email in the show notes of this episode so you can reach out. And Lokesh, if you're able to get those questions to me, anyone that wants to get a copy of those questions, I'll have them in the show notes, and you can just ask me for them at Wizards of Amazon. Thank you so much,
sure.
and we'll chat next week. Thank you, Lokesh.
Thank you, Carlos.
Liked what you heard and want to stay connected? Join our Facebook group or find me anywhere on social media at Wizards of Amazon, or text the word Amazon to 69922.